Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about some rules for adding integers. So there's two rules that we need to think about, and then there's kind of a third one in here. The first one is when the signs are the same. So what do we mean by the sign? Well, the sign is either positive or negative, or we could also have 0 in there. But for now we're going to focus on when we have two positive numbers or two negative numbers. So when we have the same sign, it just tells us to add the absolute value of the integers and then use the common sign. So, for example, 3 plus 7. Well, we're used to doing 3 plus 7. That would just be 10. Well, how did we arrive there? Well, absolute value of 3 and 7 would be 3 and 7. So we add those, we get 10. And both of the numbers originally were positive, so our answer will be positive as well. All right, with the next one, we have -4 plus -9. So now we're going to think, okay, let's add the absolute value of the integers. So let's just think about this as 4 plus 9. Because 4 would be the absolute value of -4, and 9 would be the absolute value of -9. So 4 plus 9 would be 13. And now we're going to use the common sign. So the common sign that we had was negative, because we had a -4 and a -9. So when we add those together, we get -13. So next one, different signs. Different signs say subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value, and then use the sign of the integer with the greater absolute value. All right, so for example number 1, we have 12 plus -14. So if I think about the absolute value of both of these, we have 12 and we have 14. So which one is less? 12 is less, right? So we're going to take 12 and we're going to subtract it from 14. That's what it tells us, subtract the lesser absolute value from the greater. Well, that would leave us with 2, right? 14 minus 12. And now we're going to use the sign of the integer that had the greater absolute value, which would be 14. So this is actually going to be -2. Another way to think about this, whenever I'm adding a negative, it's just like subtracting. So if I have 12 minus 14, right, we could look like this, 12 minus 14. Well, if we think about it, we're at 12 and we're taking away 14. So we're taking away 2 more than we actually have, right? So that's why our answer is -2. All right, -8 plus 14. The lesser absolute value would be 8. So we're going to do 14 minus 8, and that would give us 6. And then we're going to keep the sign of the larger number, so the larger absolute value. So 14 was the larger absolute value, which is positive, so this is going to be an answer of +6. Okay? The last thing we want to talk about in this video is what's known as the additive inverse property. So the additive inverse is just the sum of a number and its additive inverse is 0. So additive inverse, kind of another way of saying the opposite. So the opposite of 7 is -7. So when we add those together, we get 0. The opposite of -13 would be +13. So when we add those together, we get 0. Okay, so those are just a couple of rules for adding integers.